It's 4 o'clock on a Monday. You know what that means. It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Yeah! Woo! This week, starring Americana music. Maybe the most misunderstood genre on earth. And welcome to the big show. Thank you, fake band, fake audience. Hello. Let's see, where's that real audience at? There you guys are. Hello. Okay, I've got the chat open. Hello, Patty, Amanda, Jesse, Gloria, Made You Look. Let's see, who else? Ooh, Chris Stiles, I'm guessing. That's a new one. Clyde Roberts, Big Shot Boss, Audio Painter, Nita Christine, Andy Gabrish, Adriana, Ustream Bot. The whole gang is here. Okay, today we are doing what I think may be one of the more misunderstood genres of music. I think everybody likes Americana. Not everybody. A lot of people like Americana. And a lot of people think they're making Americana. And frankly, I'm never quite sure what Americana is or is not. I know that we did a show probably 2.5, maybe even 3 years ago with a gentleman named Rick Menck. Rick Menck is what I would say pretty much a world-class expert on Americana, and I learned how much I didn't know. Pretty amazing. So anyway, I want to start today's show, and because we're playing a bunch of forwards and returns from a particular listing that ran not that long ago, we're not doing a show from a viewer this week, because we're going to be listening to a lot of music. So I went to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia says, Americana is an amalgam of roots music formed by the confluence, that's a big word, of the shared and varied traditions that make up the American musical ethos. Wow, this is big word day on Taxi TV. Specifically, those sounds that emerge from folk, country, blues, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, and other external influences. That damn near sums up every piece of music that's out there. Americana is defined by the Americana Music Association, otherwise known as the AMA, is, and I'm quoting here, contemporary music that incorporates elements of various American roots music styles, including country, roots rock, folk, bluegrass, R&B, and blues, resulting in a distinctive roots-oriented sound that lives in a world apart from the pure forms of the genres upon which it may draw. So let's read that sentence again. Resulting in a distinctive roots-oriented sound that lives in a world apart from the pure forms of the genres upon which it may draw. So, in other words, it's not going to sound exactly like country, roots rock, folk, bluegrass, R&B, and blues. It's going to be an amalgam of those things and not sound particularly too much like any one of them. While acoustic instruments are often present and vital, Americana also often uses a full electric band. Let's get into this a little bit. Americana as a radio format, because I personally think that the radio format of Americana is pretty bastardized from the description I just read. Excuse me. Americana as a radio format developed during the 1990s as a reaction to the highly polished sound that defined the mainstream music of that decade. Hold on. Didn't the 90s have Nirvana, Pearl Jam? Okay. Anyway, where was I? Music of that decade. Similar pressures also led to the formation of the classic country format at around the same time. Because of listener interest in the artists who do not fit as comfortably in the country or rock genres, a radio format called Americana was developed by the AMA and reported by Radio and Records, a radio trade publication. Born out of AAA, non-commercial country and other formats, the Americana format is the sum of the parts that have showcased Americana music since its inception. So, all right, and I would say that's a fair statement, that the Americana that we generally think of, unless we're going kind of purist, probably sounds more like AAA and non-commercial country. But it's a tough one to put a finger on. And I've got to say, I was listening. It's pretty rare that I get to listen to the forwards and returns before we do a show. And today I listened to some of them, and there was at least one, if not maybe two, of the returns that I thought, I think I would have forwarded that one when I read the listing, which I'll read in a second. Then I realized for that listing, the music supervisor that is working on two shows had his music coordinator do the screening on that. So who better to judge what would work in the context of the shows than the music coordinator, who's the person that probably puts most of the music under the nose of the supervisor. So now let us read the listing. And by the way, I'm not going to play the reference artists on today's show because it seems that when I do that, that YouTube kills the audio on the episode when we put them up, the archives, we put them up on Ustream and we put them up on YouTube, and YouTube kills the audio because we're using copyrighted material. However, if they really did their homework, I think they'd find out it's considered a fair use because it's for educational purposes, and we don't always play the entire song. I think we rarely play the entire song. So let me take a swig of my, what am I drinking? Arrowhead with Mio or something in it. And I will read you this listing, which asks for reflective, contemporary, acoustic-driven Americana songs with a distinct bluegrass influence are needed by an A-list Hollywood music supervisor for non-exclusive, can't talk today, non-exclusive placements in two different TV shows. One's a hit TV series and the other's a brand new TV show, both of which need fairly similar music for various bar and restaurant scenes. So that's key, various bar and restaurant scenes. What does that mean? It means it's going to be source music, probably coming out of a jukebox or somewhere in the background of a bar or the restaurant. This supervisor needs rootsy, well-crafted, down to mid-tempo songs that could be found on the same playlist as acts like Trampled by Turtles, Nickel Creek, Old Crow Medicine Show, etc., etc., etc. Please listen to the following references, get the general vibe. The aforementioned bands, of course, are the references, and quoting the source. Both of the shows generally use similar music for bar and restaurant scenes, so if it sounds authentic to the genre, I'll be interested. Okay. Give them well-structured acoustic bass songs that have a current take on bluegrass-inspired Americana music with impressive musicianship and a great vocal performance. Authenticity is important to this soup, so anything that sounds stiff, synthetic, or obviously MIDI will not work for this pitch. Lyric themes can vary, but lyrics that are more on the introspective side of the spectrum will work best. That's a tough one to say, introspective side of the spectrum. That's a tongue twister. Keep them as universal, keeping your lyrics as universal as possible. Avoid specific names, dates, times, places, brands of profanity. Please do not copy or rip off the reference artists in any way, shape, or form. Use them only as a general guide, blah, blah, blah. Estimated license fee is $500 to $1,500. And, of course, it was a non-exclusive direct-to-supervisor pitch, so you'll keep 100% of the sync fee and all the other money that comes along with it. So, and I know somebody's going to ask how many songs, how many submissions we got and how many forwards we got or we had. So, producer Matt, if you would, could you check that out and bring those numbers to me on a Post-it note when you get a chance? No big hurry. Okay, so now we know what the listing is looking for. We know how Wikipedia defines it, and I think we should listen to some music. So for those of you who are new and have never done this type of show with us before, what we do is we play the song, and I don't tell you guys if it's a forward or a return. We will listen through, hopefully all the way through the song, but I may start cutting them short depending on how we're doing time-wise. But we'll certainly listen far enough along to give you an idea of whether something works or not. So I'm going to randomly play these, not in any particular order, and wait until the song is finished and you hear the audience go wild. And when the audience goes wild, then hit +1 if you would have forwarded that for that listing, -1 if you would not. Okay? All right. here we go. And I don't mention the artist or songwriter's names just out of respect in case somebody says something silly that would offend them. Sometimes people are in the room and they go, hey, that's me. That's okay. If you guys want to put it out there, why not? All right. So the first one we're going to listen to is called Old Town. Here we go.
There's an old man pitching lucky balls shoe at a potluck supper in the month of June. Hot dogs for me, chicken for him. He said wait half an hour before you swim. There's an old man pitching lucky balls shoe on local TV on the 5 o'clock news. They had a big parade for the 4th of July, but no fireworks this year, it's just too dry. It's an old town, very old town. It's an old town, very old town. There's a silver pot of coffee in the fellowship hall, where the old folks go to talk about God. I was thinking about Jesus on the merry-go-round. Elvis was the king, but he had no crown. There's a silver pot of coffee in the fellowship hall, 'cause it's hard to stay awake when you're saving your soul. A kid on a cross may set you free, but if you wanna go to heaven, you gotta believe. 'Cause it's an old town, very old town. It's an old town, very old town. There's a perfect stillness at supper's end.
74?
Voices down the road, a childhood friend. Fresh cut grass and stadium lights. A hardware store and streets at night. Old town, very old town. Old town, very old town. Old town, very old.
Okay, Taxi TV fade in the essence of playing as many songs as we can. All right, cast your votes, kids. +1 for a forward, a -1 for a return. I see many of you were already giving opinions, and I can't say that I disagree. Cale Clemens, you came late. We're listening to Americana forwards and returns. While you guys are voting, I'm going to make it slightly cooler. Okay, the votes are still rolling in. And I'm still waiting. Come on, more votes, more votes. Excuse me. It's the second time I've actually burped on the show. Scott Hansen says, you can't make this show any cooler, Michael. Thanks, Scott. Interesting. So far, I think I've seen all plus ones except for maybe 4 minus ones. So, and Mike Moriello says it's Americana, but it lacks something. And I've got to admit, I personally felt like it could have gone bigger in the chorus, but then again, we're not looking for a hit record. We're looking for Americana. Now, again, I want to state for the sake of anybody that came in late, Kale, that this was a music coordinator that actually screened the stuff for the music supervisor she works for. And it was for 2 different shows, but they use remarkably similar music in restaurant and bar scenes. So all of you who voted +1 were right. It was, in fact, forwarded. And Matt brought me the numbers that I mentioned before. We got 145 submissions on this. How many forwards, if you guys didn't already hear me say this to Matt before he left the room, how many forwards would you think we would have out of 145 submissions? It's not Taxi TV if Michael doesn't belch. Oh, man. Yeah, somebody heard it. Chris Stiles says 74. Yep, 74 forwards out of 145 submissions. That's huge. I'm thinking that's like 50%, thereabouts. That's a lot of forwards, especially considering it was the music coordinator working on the 2 shows. Unbelievable. Usually the music coordinators are tougher than the taxi screeners. So there you go. And I guess the advantage is that the music coordinator knows not only what, and the music coordinator in this case is a woman, she not only knows the supervisor's taste because she works with them day in and day out, from what I understand, like 14 hours a day, and she's on call all the time, but she also knows what will work within the context of the show. She also knows what will work in next week's episode because she's seen the script and the spotting notes. So that means that there are 74 forwards that are now either getting used eminently, getting used soon, and sitting on the shelf for future shows, future episodes. So that's pretty cool. That's a remarkable number, frankly. That's surprising to me, but in a good way. All right. Bluesman says, speaks to the quality of the taxi members. Yep, it sure does. Okay, let's listen to another one. And this one is called It's Been Too Long.
Lately I've been thinking about you and me and baby, how much you mean to me. No one's ever loved me like the way that you love me. I know we're meant to be, and I don't tell you nearly enough. My love for you runs deeper than the sea, but it's been too long since I wrote you a love song, and I want you to know, when I met you, girl, you rocked my world. This heart has found its home. Your smile, those eyes, girl, I can't lie. You're always on my mind. But it's been too long since I wrote you a love song. We could stay home, we could go out. It don't matter to me, as long as we're together in any kind of weather. You're where I wanna be. Nothing is better to me. The truth is that you're everything I need. But it's been too long since I wrote you a love song, and I want you to know, when I met you, girl, you rocked my world. This heart has found its home. Your smile, I can't lie, you're always on my mind. But it's been too long since I wrote you a love song. And I'm gonna love you like nobody's loved you till the day that I die. So put your lips on mine, 'cause the feeling's right. But let's turn down the lights, 'cause it's been too long since I wrote you a love song. And I want you to know, when I met you, girl, you rocked my world. This heart has found its home. Your smile, those eyes, girl, I can't lie, you're always on my mind. But it's been too long since I wrote you a love song. And I want you to know, when I met you, girl, you rocked my world.
All right. So that one, once again, was called It's Been Too Long. Please cast your votes. +1 for a forward, -1 for a return. I saw several people saying, I think it's country. Funny thing is, if I played this for any of my friends in Nashville, they'd go, that's not country. It did have an acoustic guitar. It did have a banjo. Yeah, so far all -1s, and people that are making comments are all saying sounds more country than Americana. I think certainly one thing that would kill it is it's a relationship song. Not to say that somebody couldn't do an Americana song about a relationship, but this was purely, the relationship was just front and center. It was so obvious, and it's not something that I think, and again, I am not a world-class expert on Americana, but I don't think there are many Americana songs that, it was almost like and I don't mean this to sound insulting at all. I'm just trying to reference something, so please, person who sent this in, please, please, please don't take this the wrong way. But it reminded me of a lyric that, like, oh gosh, what was his name? B.J. Thomas or somebody from the 70s would have done. You know what I mean? So, subject matter actually sounded a little dated to me. That's funny. Andy Gabbers says sounds a little dated to me. It does. I mean, it wasn't horribly dated, but it was a little dated. Anyway, it was not a forward. So all you guys who voted -1 on that, you guys were correct. And yes, several people commented that it was kind of mid-rangey, kind of top-endy. I agree. It was a little overly bright up there. Okay, this one is called There's a Fella Coming Round. Let's have a listen.
There's a fella coming round to see me. He's kind and must not be misled. I'll act as though I didn't know he would ask me to wed. There's a fella coming round to see me. I have a sofa as soft as can be. From there he will make his plea. We'll talk of many things, of life, love, and rings, while he makes love to me. There's a fella coming round to see me. I must make myself as lovely as can, for this day I'll have this handsome man. There's a fella coming round to see me.
One more round of applause from the audience. Okay, cast your votes, guys. +1 for a forward, -1 if you would have returned that one. Curious to see how the voting goes on that. All right. I'm not going to tell you what the votes are. Well, if you're in the room, you're going to see it anyway. But almost all -1s, although there've been a few +1s going by. And Gareth Ebb said she did sound Irish, actually. Oh, come on, Gareth. What would you know about that? I'm kidding. Gareth is Irish. Um, all right, so I'm going to say that it was probably 90% would have not forwarded it, and 10% would have forwarded. And it was not forwarded. Remember, this was the music coordinator working on the show who works with the music supervisor every day. Now, my take on it was I kind of liked it, and here's why I liked it. I don't know that I would have forwarded it because we don't forward stuff based on personal likes or dislikes. It's forwarded or returned based on usability for the end user, which in this case was a music supervisor. It wouldn't work really well, I don't think, in the background of a bar or a restaurant scene. But somebody used the word Appalachian, and it is. It's very rootsy. To me, it sounded like Depression era folk music, back, like Woody Guthrie era folk music. It was pretty pure. And I liked the fact that it was so incredibly simple. I mean, it was an acoustic guitar, a fiddle, and a vocal. And I liked the vocalist's voice. That too, I mean, you wouldn't say she had a, like one in a million voice, but it was very appropriate for the kind of music that she's singing. And it was very honest and pure. So I'm just trying to read some comments. Vocals were Natalie Merchant-ish. Oh, a couple of people were talking about the fact that it was in 3/4. It's a waltz. And I think it was Mojo, said 3/4 doesn't work in country. He might have been joking because I know he knows better. But I think there are a lot of country waltz songs out there. I don't think they're all that popular at the moment, but certainly there have been a lot of country songs that have been in 3/4. But I personally like that one. I can see why they wouldn't use it because I can't imagine it being used in a TV series in the back of a present day bar scene. Or restaurant, and I imagine the restaurant would be the kind of place where you'd get a red basket with a piece of wax paper in it with French fries and something else in there. Mary Band says it'd work great in the background of a campfire out in the woods. Yep. Pedro Costa said he thought the same thing about the vocal, very appropriate. Yeah, there was something about her vocal that's just really honest and pure. Guitar Guru Mike says sad songs and waltzes aren't selling this year. I don't know. I don't know. It all depends on the use. Okay, let's listen to a song called, this one is called Selfish Prayer. I gotta love that title. And here we go.
I've been everywhere before. I need God to intervene, so I'm gonna say a selfish prayer. Lord, please let me get what I want. Please help me get my way. I don't want this cross to bear, so I'll say selfish prayer. Reality seems to weigh me down. My heart's beating me up. I want God to set me free, so I'm gonna say a selfish prayer. Lord, please help me get what I need, if only for today.
Don't vote yet.
I don't want this cross to bear, so I'll say a selfish prayer. I know that He may not answer me, since both sides pray for victory. But still, somebody's gotta lose, and I'm no good. I never do the things I should. So if I ask Him to help me, oh, He might refuse. I know that He may not answer me, since both sides pray for victory. But still, somebody's gotta lose, and I'm no good. I never do the things I should. So if I ask Him to help me, oh, He might refuse. But I'll get down on my knees. I'll offer up my sinful soul. I'll ask God to rescue me in my selfish prayer. Lord, please help me feel some peace, if only for today. I don't want this cross to bear, so I'll say a selfish prayer. I don't want this cross to bear, so I'll say a selfish prayer.
All right, now you guys can cast your votes. Some of you guys were jumping on that one way too early. Probably the same people that sat in the front row when they were in grade school. Somebody asked if it was Michelle. No, it was not Michelle. Somebody just scrolled off my page really quickly, but somebody said double plus ones on the vocal. Wow, the plus ones are coming in fast and furious. Somebody says nice song, but not sure it's Americana. They gave it a -1. Somebody Van Roekel, Steve Van Reckel, gave it a -1 because it's too close to the Stray Cat progression. But I mean, it's, 145. And just because it's close to that progression, does that knock it out of contention for being right for a scene in a TV show, would be my argument. Very expressive, skillful phrasing. Mojo said, yeah, he would have been in the front row when he wasn't busy sitting in the corner. I would have been hanging out with you. That's why we're friends. Okay, so almost all, I would say again, like 90% would have forwarded it, 10% would have not. Some people are saying it's not all that Americana-ish, and I will agree that it does have a jazziness to it, but I went back and looked at the AMA, the Americana Music Association's definition of Americana. It says contemporary music that incorporates elements of various American roots music styles, including country, roots rock, folk, bluegrass, R&B, and blues, resulting in a distinctive roots-oriented sound that lives in a world apart from the pure forms of the genres upon which it may draw. So it didn't mention jazz there, but R&B and blues, you could make an argument. I mean, it was a 1-4-5 progression. And it was kind of bluesy. Anyway, the music coordinator working on the show actually did forward it, so we could hopefully hear this in an episode coming up someday soon. And it's a big show. It's one that you guys would know, and a new show which probably none of us know yet because I'm not sure that it's even aired. Yeah, 1-4-5 progression. I mean, it's not like the Stray Cats owned that, Mike Moriello says, I'll say it again, Americana steals all the cool stuff. Yeah, so anyway, you guys were right. It was a forward, and most of you said it was a forward. Let's listen to one. I love the title on this one. Pothole Road. Let's have a listen.
Here I go down the bottom road, spinning gravel with a heavy load. I should have learned my lesson years ago. Now here I go down the bottom road. When I was a young man, I left my good home, set my sails high for the asphalt sea. I wandered so far, I don't remember. I love to go back, but that can never be. Here I go down the bottom road, spinning gravel with a heavy load. I should have learned my lesson years ago. Now here I go down the bottom road. I broke some cards, my dear mother. She tried to warn me of my wicked ways, but I was stubborn. I did not listen. Turn off that light on the dark highway. Yeah, here I go down the bottom road, spinning gravel with a heavy load. Should have learned my lesson years ago. Now here I go down the bottom road. Here I go. Hey, that should have been me up on that cross, pay my own days and serve my time. But somebody loved me when I didn't love myself, stood in my place, accused of my crime. Yeah, here I go down the bottom road, spinning gravel with a heavy load. I should have learned my lesson years ago. Now here I go down the pothole road. Here I go down the pothole road, spinning gravel with a heavy load. Should have learned my lesson years ago. Now here I go down the pothole road. Here I go down the pothole road.
All right, cast your votes. +1 for a forward, -1 for a return. And I'm going to pick something else to play while you guys are doing that. Wow, they're coming in so fast I can barely see them. Scrolling off that page. I would say the crowd went wild over that one. So far, all plus ones. Russell Landwehr wants to know how many times we can vote. I think just once. No political discussions on this show, damn it. Oh, man. Yeah, I think you guys got that one right because it was definitely a forward. And the funny thing was, it was, I think Mojo pointed out very early in the song, the compressor was like really sucking it in there, and the track sounded a little dirty and distorted, but it worked. Regardless of those things. And again, remember, this was the coordinator, music coordinator, who's working on both of these shows. This person probably hears, I don't know, 20 to 50, maybe 100 pieces of music in a day. A music coordinator, just so you know, is the right arm of a music supervisor. So the supervisor will probably ask them to do the research. If we send stuff to a supervisor, very often the music coordinator is probably the person that is dumping it into the music supervisor's iTunes or whatever they listen to it with, and probably tagging it, even though we've done all the tagging before it leaves here as far as contact information for the member, contact information for taxi, songwriter, etc., and title, that sort of stuff. Anyway, what else did I write down? Oh, somebody mentioned that they didn't think it was original enough to stand out. But remember the context. We've talked about context a couple of different times on the show lately. It's all about context. We're not looking for a hit record. We're not necessarily looking for something special. This is going to be wallpaper. It's going to be background. It's going to set a mood, an atmosphere. It's going to be playing ostensibly on a jukebox, 50 feet away in a bar scene where they've probably got peanut shells on the floor and week-old hot dogs on those little metal things that turn. Mojo says, today's wine selection is Red Diamond Merlot. Hey, Scott Hansen, what are you serving at the restaurant tonight, buddy? Okay, so there you go. That was Pothole Road, and that was really cool. I think everybody liked that one. And now we are going to hear Where Are We Going?
When are we going? When are we going out there? There's only shame in growing old these days. When are we going out there? What once was treated with reverence is now ignored by our youth. Hide us away and wait for the day we pass on our fortunes to you. When are we going? When are we going out there? There's only pain in growing old these days. When are we going out there? We're foolish to want what we had in our prime. Consider our side and give us our pride. Our needs are not lessened with time. When are we going? When are we going? we going up there? When are we going, going? When are we going up there? There's only shade and growing old these days. When are we going up there? There's only shade and growing old these days. When are we going up there?
All right, cast your votes, ladies and gentlemen. +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you would not. And I am so curious to see how you guys vote on this one. That was When Are We Going? Sounds like my kids in the back of the car when they were little. Or Are We There Yet? Of course. All right, the votes are coming in. Ooh. I'm going to keep the people who watch the archive in suspense. I'll eventually tell you. Wow, Danny Weber draws an interesting comparison, saying it was Barbara Mandrell-ish. You may be the first person ever on the face of the earth to say Mandrell-ish. I'm going to say it was about 50-50. I mean, the votes were scrolling by kind of quickly, but I'm going to call that one 50-50. And it did not get forwarded. If I were relying on personal taste, I probably would have forwarded that. But again, this was the music coordinator who works on the show, and she probably heard it and went, I like that. I just can't imagine it working in one of our scenes. Maybe it was too up-tempo. It was pretty darn gospel-y. And again, going back to the definition that I found on Wikipedia, that Americana is an amalgam of roots music. Well, certainly gospel would be a form of roots music. Doesn't get any rootsier than that. Country, roots rock, folk, bluegrass, R&B, and R&B certainly, goes back to and blues go back to days of people working in the cotton fields doing call and response stuff. So and this would have been really good as a call and response song. I really liked it personally, but the coordinator didn't forward it, and my guess is because it was had a little. It was almost. It would distract from dialogue. Okay, remember again, when they're listening to source music most of the time in the context of a bar or restaurant scene, they just want you to feel like you're actually in that place. So they don't want, music is not the star. Music is rarely the star, certainly when it's source music. So there you go. So half of you were right, half of you were wrong. And frankly, I probably would have gotten that one wrong myself just because it was really cool, and it certainly qualifies as Americana, I think. And yes, the B3 was smoking, the piano player was smoking. Caesar says it would have been good music for moving equipment after a gig. Michael Murray says, hey, Michael, FYI, a while back you did a Skype session with one of your well-known members hosted by you and reviewed a song of mine. The time you said you could hear that song in the background in a bar on a jukebox. Well, I joined Taxi And that same song just got forwarded to this listing. Well, there you go. There you go. Call my wife. Tell her I was right. Okay, let's listen to another song. I'm actually making pretty good time here today. All right, this one is called Wild Blood. Sorry, Michelle. All right. First off, let me apologize to Michelle for calling her Michael. My apologies. Second of all, cast your votes. +1 if you would forward that, -1 if you would not. And remember, we're voting for usability, not personal taste. Wow, they're flying by kind of quickly, but so far I'm going to call it 65% forwards. All right, looks like most of the votes are in. Mike Moriello says biker bar. I could see a biker bar. It wasn't for Sons of Anarchy. We've had, I think, 3 or 4 songs in Sons of Anarchy, but this wasn't for that show. But yeah, anything with kind of a rough and tumble bar. Now, okay, so let's say the vote was probably 65% forward on that one, and it was in fact forwarded. And people who wouldn't afford it, I saw people saying it was too rock. But again, going back to the definition, of course, this is from Wikipedia, which I don't always trust. Contemporary music that incorporates elements of various American roots music styles, including country, roots rock, folk, bluegrass, R&B, and blues. Now, I don't know that I would call that roots rock, but again, the screener on this was the actual music coordinator from the show. And my guess is she said, that's really cool, that's really vibey. I could imagine that playing on the jukebox in the background of our bar or our restaurant. So I think that's why it got a forward. And my guess is that someday that one will get used. And again, for those of you who joined us late, we only had 145 submissions for that listing, and the music coordinator working on the show forwarded 74 out of 145 submissions. And that stuff is going on the shelf where the supervisor can use it in any episode. Mojo says definitely roots rock. There's something I heard in there that made me think, does that disqualify it? But yeah, I mean, basically it's roots rock, but there was something in there that made me think it might have disqualified. And I can't say that I'm a world class expert on roots rock either. Russell Landwehr says, checking for Americana listings now. I can do this, I think. Other people are agreeing. I'm telling you, it's so frustrating for us. Sometimes we have these listings. You got to understand, we work really, really hard to bring in great listings for you guys. And I know we send out the daily updates with the first one in the daily updates is always a brand new listing. And then there are usually 3 or 4 reminders for things that are on the near horizon coming up. And I don't think anybody takes the time anymore to read the regular set of listings. It's got like 100 listings in there, and there's usually, I don't know, 45 to maybe as many as 55 or 60 new listings in a given batch on the 1st and 15th of the month. And I can see by the number of people that open the emails and the number of people that click on things, those don't get as many opens. Those emails don't get as many opens as the emails for individual things that come out on a daily basis. Kind of mind-blowing to me. And sometimes we see listings that are just like killer opportunities and nobody submits. Don't know what to say about that. Okay, so that was Wild Blood. Let's move on to a song that I think I heard earlier called Not Where I Want to Be, which is ironic because it was... No, I'm not going to say it. Too much information. Not Where I Want to Be.
I'm turning 30 tomorrow. I'm not where I wanna be. Can't help seeing this reality. Don't know when or when wrong. Only feel like writing a song. I woke up today feeling the same. I can't help but feel my life is not real. All these dreams I dream of every night. All these years I yearn for. Once I I stood top of the world. Nothing I couldn't do. My heart always so true. But I woke up today feeling the same. I can't help but feel my life is not real. All these dreams I dream of every night. All these years I yearn for you. Wish I could. Wish I would. All I want is to make a wish tonight. I wish that I could. I wish.
All right. Taxi TV fade. Can't believe we've already been on for an hour. Cast your votes, ladies and gents. +1 for a forward, -1 for a return. Donovan Space Oddity, I love it. Pretty much have consensus on this one. I think everybody has voted a -1 so far. I think I saw maybe 1 or 2 +1s. There's Joe Matzi says +1. It's evocative and true to its own genre. But is it Americana for the background of a bar that would have Americana on the jukebox? Fuller Music gave it a +1 for the sheer vibe, but you can't. You got to vote not because you like it, not because it's got a cool vibe. You got to vote for, yes, you would forward it for this listing, for this use. So it was not forwarded, but I agree that it's got a cool vibe. Yeah, it's definitely like, wow, look, I got a new, oral exciter for Christmas. I mean, it was more than sibilant. There were things that weren't the, S's in there that were like ear splitting. But if you redid the mix, yes, I would forward that for other stuff, not for this listing. And the music coordinator from the show agreed with you guys. She did not forward it for her boss to hear. Okay, this song, I love this title. This is one of the best titles I've heard in a long time. This is Where Love Goes to Die. That is a great title, and here comes the song. Yeah, there we go.
Seems like the perfect place for me.
Whoa. Let's try that again.
You can see the smoke dance off the neon.
Also very bright. And my treble setting is where it always is.
You can smell the stench of
Wow.
week beer. But if you need a shoulder just to lean on, it's safe to say you find one here. Everyone has their own.
My ears are bleeding.
Song of a broken heart and being left alone. So this is where love goes to die. This is where you take a broken heart that's been torn apart inside, where all your new old friends and bottles will help you say goodbye. So this is where, yes, this is where love goes to die.
Come on, admit it. This almost sounds like a Don Henley lyric. Almost.
Might as well pull up a bar stool. Seems like the perfect place for me. Since I've been crying like a damn fool. So she told me she had to leave. I always thought that her and I would last. Now I'm here to dig a hole, bury our past. So this is where love goes to die. This is
Scott
where
Hansen.
you take a broken heart that's been torn apart inside, where all your new old friends and bottles help you say goodbye. So this is where, yes, this is where love goes to die. It's kinda strange, but I find comfort here in this room full of broken hearts and a glass of beer. Yes, this is where love goes to die. This is where I put.
All right. Cast your votes. +1 for a forward, -1 for a return. Yes, it was a little bit bright. I will admit that. And I think it was Scott Hansen that made this remark in the chat. Said, "This is where my ears go to die." Apparently, it was pretty darn bright here. I've got to say, really bright here. So far, we have 1 + 1. There's another +1. It really did have kind of a Don Henley thing going on, and an Eagle-y thing. Sounded kind of like early Eagles. SHP10 says, "I don't have a chance." You'd be surprised. You know what? People who joined Taxi a year or 2 or 3 ago and thought they didn't have a chance, and they participate in Taxi TV, they participate in the forums, they go to the road rally, they look at what the screeners actually tell them in the feedback, they put it all together, and lo and behold, 2 years later, they're doing great. On tonight's Taxi TV menu, we're serving calamari over greens with tomato. Where to go? Over greens with tomatoes, cucumbers, and walnuts, and provolone topped with our house vinaigrette and our homemade focaccia bread. Man, send me one of those, will you, Scott? That sounds great. Anyway, yeah, it wasn't a forwarded song, but I love the title and I love parts of it. You know, it had potential, but it's not there yet. And the music coordinator on the show didn't think it would work for their show, so you guys were 100% right. Um, let's listen to yet another one, and this one is called Wingin' a Prayer.
Wind is on the rise, dust is in my eyes. Gonna kick that can down the road, leave a sorry town behind. I'm a bird that flies in windy skies, daring to defy. I'm a restless soul without a home, living on a wing and a prayer, living on a wing and a prayer. I'm not afraid of dying, but living a useless life. At the end of the day, I'm trying to see how that works out. I'm a bird that flies in windy skies, daring to defy. I'm a restless soul without a home, living on a wing and a prayer, living on a wing and a prayer. I can't change what was, just accept what is and move on. I'm a bird that flies in windy skies, daring to defy. I'm a restless soul without a home, living on a wing and a prayer, living on a wing and a prayer, living on a wing and a prayer.
All right, cast your votes. +1 for a forward, -1 for return. And remember, we're voting to forward for the context of what the listing asked for, which was Americana music that would play in the background of a bar or restaurant scene in a TV show. I am really curious to see how you guys vote on this one. Okay. I'm going to say you guys are saying about 75% of you would have forwarded that song. It was, in fact, forwarded. And I have no idea. I mean, if those were hands on a thigh or if it was spoons on a forehead or. At first I thought, oh, there's clogging. I don't think I heard this one before the show. I thought, is somebody clogging to this? But it would have been a really small person with tiny little shoes because it's pretty high pitched. Um, let's see. Russell wanted to know. So would they ask? And I think he was asking this regarding the last song that we heard that was very sibilant. Would they ask for a fixed mix on a song? Depends on the circumstance. In this case, this is the music coordinator, lining their shelf, their stash, if you will, of Americana for various bar scenes they're going to have throughout the season on a couple of shows. Um, if they were working on next week's episode and right up against it, they might reach out Usually they usually have like a second choice and a third choice in their back pocket. If they really, really love something, they might reach out and say to somebody, you know, could you have another mix in my hands in 3 hours? They don't have the luxury of waiting, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days, especially for weekly episodic TV. They just don't have that timeline. But for a film that's got a longer timeline, they could. For somebody, I keep pointing over there because that's where the sheet is with the numbers on it. But, you know, I could imagine that if the coordinator had loved that song and really wanted to have it in their stash for future use, that she would have asked us to reach out for a mix that wasn't so sibilant. Yeah, they, as Mike Moriello says, they took 74, they forwarded so this coordinator on the show, and that's usually a very tough sell. The coordinator on the show forwarded 74 pieces of music out of 145. So pretty impressive from our members. Do I have any left? Yes, I do. I've got 2 left. Okay. Let us go to a song called Old Pair of Shoes. Yikes. And that's not it. But this is Old Pair of Shoes.
I feel restricted today, like something's in my way. It's like I'm wasting my days, and I haven't even tried. 'Cause I feel a crisis coming on. I feel I can stay up and just pray all night, asking God for the solutions to secrets He only knows. Lord, if you tell me, I won't tell a soul. 'Cause I wanna know where we go. I wanna know, where do we go? Lord, if you tell me, I won't tell a soul. I wanna know where we go.
Okay, that was definitely the shortest song we've ever played on Taxi TV. +1 if you would forward that for this listing, -1 if you would not. I was going to read the listing again, but we've only got one more song to play. We're at the end of the episode. Reference act were Trampled by Turtles, Nickel Creek, Old Crow Medicine Show, etc., etc., etc. I hear beeping. I was distracted by beeping. I didn't look at the thing. Okay, +1, +1, +1, +1, -1, -1, +1, +1, -1, +1, +1, -1, +1, +0.5. Oh, come on, Fun Songs. That's cheating. Gloria -1. Not so good for a bar scene, but I can see it playing at the end of a show. It's UPS, Michael. No, I hear this beeping. I have no idea where it's coming from. It's funny. The other day I was in our garage and I heard beeping. Where is it? Oh, it's coming out of my my little CD player. Weird. Anyway, I heard beeping in our garage and walked around for like 20 minutes the other day trying to find the beeping. It was one of the remote controls for my remote control airplanes. And it was inside of a case, and it was beeping to tell me that the battery was dying. When I mentioned it to my wife, she goes, yeah, I've been hearing that for a couple of days. Okay. So I'm going to say that that one was a split decision, and it was, in fact, returned by the screener, who was music coordinator on these 2 shows. I would have called that singer-songwriter. I don't know that I would have called it Americana, but I liked it. I wish there was more to the song. It was basically like a verse, a chorus, and a goodbye, we're out of here. But I liked it, and I think that that would work very, very well for a video montage at the end of a show. Okay, we've got one more to go, and this one is called Shadows Don't Go to Sleep. Another interesting title. Here we go. Shadows Don't Go to Sleep.
Whoa, the tide may come, swallow up the land I'm from. Oh, how the tide may come, drown my wars, the tide has come. Whoa, the grass may grow up taller than my soul. Whoa, the grass may grow over my head, the grass has grown. Darkness left where sunlight's been gone over the horizon. Darkness left where sunlight's been. Darkness now my only friend.
Don't vote yet, you guys.
Shadows don't go to sleep. Shadows won't let me be. Shadows don't go to sleep. Follow me fast and veil my feet. Grave digger gonna bury my name, earth and stone to cover my face. Grave digger gonna bury my name, shadows follow me in my grave. Shadows don't go to sleep, shadows won't let me be. Shadows don't go to sleep, follow me fast and then my feet. Shadows don't go to sleep, shadows won't let me be. Shadows don't go to sleep, follow me fast and then my feet. Follow me fast and then my feet.
All right, cast your votes. +1 for a forward, -1 if you would not. Let me see. Karnak says, I think you guys are going to like it. Wow. Coming in smoking fast here. Melanie D. Watson, you're the first -1, I think. That's all right. Don't feel like odd person out. Don't want to make you feel bad. Caesar says bathroom break do-overs. All right. Yeah, this was definitely a forward, and I tend to agree with you. Those of you who said that that was the best of this show. It was really strong. And Melanie, I understand your concern that it wouldn't work as wallpaper. They just turn it down a little bit. Remember, it's good. A lot of times source music is so low that I feel almost I don't feel almost bad. I feel bad for the taxi members who get used as source music because they call their family and friends and say, I'm going to be on TV, I'm going to be on TV. And then they watch the show and they don't hear the song go by because it's mixed so low. And you've got glasses clinking and people throwing darts and people playing pool and, Walla Walla going on and dialogue on top of it all, and you can barely hear the song in the background. So this would definitely work. I love that song. It's great. As a matter of fact, Matt, please make a note. I want to let Nick know that we should put this one on the Taxi compilation. We're actually in the process of putting together a compilation going out to industry people once again. So this one should definitely be on there. And before we wrap this up, got a couple more minutes. I need some show ideas. I thought about calling Shirelli. I mean, there's so many great people that we have on the show, like 2 or 3 times a year. Obviously, Robin Frederick, Rob Shirelli. Oh gosh, what's his name? I can't think of his name. Engineer, producer, long hair, beard. I love him. Just can't think of his name. Anyway, I need some fresh show ideas. Been doing this for 4 years. I want to know, what do you guys want to know that we haven't done yet on the show? Taming Sibilants. Good name for a movie title. Oh, How Long for a Deal? That's right. I said I was going to do that, and I didn't do that. Okay, that's a good one. Ronan Chris Murphy. Yes. Paul McCartney. I tried to get him for a road rally. Forwards and returns, always a great show idea. Yeah, I'd like to do those because it really helps people tune their ears. Try Ron Harris again with Shirelli. Remember last time, I think Ron got pulled over by a police officer on his way to the show. And if I remember correctly, they confiscated his car. And ironically, he was driving, he had a valid driver's license. He didn't stick it in his pants that day or in his wallet. Um, Russell says he'd like to have an editor, a video editor on the show because they're the ones that ultimately put our stuff on TV. Certainly the case for reality TV. Tour Taxi meets screeners. Okay, editor. Yeah, we had a cool editor at the Road Rally last year. I should see if I can get him to come on the show. Meet the screeners. Yeah, we haven't done that in a while. Actually, there are a couple of screeners, new screeners I want to introduce you guys to. Meet the screeners. How close to the examples given in listing should you really get? Is that a question or a show suggestion? Beginner to placer. Okay. I mean, I kind of understand what that means. A spotting session would be cool. I don't know if I could pull that off because we'd have to play an actual TV show and do. I'll have to think about that one. And it would have to be a past show because they certainly wouldn't let us do it for anything that's upcoming. Spotting session. When to rewrite or just move on. Can we prank the screeners? That's a good idea. Um, the true value of good stems. Is that a whole show? See, that's a problem. Sometimes I think of interesting stuff and I don't know that I can do an hour or more. I'd like to see the screeners on Survivor. More songwriting, less production. Songwriting, okay. Have you been watching for a while? Because we do a fair amount of songwriting shows. We've had Susan Koch. We've had Robin Frederick, of course. Jason Bloom twice in the last couple of months. A show on metadata. Ooh, good idea. Again, I don't know if I could do a whole show on that, but we could certainly try. Lyrics, lyrics, lyrics. I could have Robin Frederick do an entire show on lyrics. What's more worthless, stems or seeds? Can always make tea, Scott. How to prepare your stuff for the road rally. Which, by the way, you can find the answer to that on our forum. Um, how to rewrite a song that's almost there. Jason Bloom, I've had him on twice in the last 3 months. Workflow and how to increase output. Jason would be great, but hard to get. It's not hard to get for us. He's been here twice. There are 2 Jason Bloom shows that were done probably in the last 90 days. Michael's secrets to mixing and producing. That's ancient history at this point. I did do a show a long, long time ago, probably in the first year of Taxi TV, where I used the kids' lawn furniture or toys and spread them out in our backyard with a mountain range in the background. Go back and find that show. I've got to say, I've gone back and watched that show, and there's some really great practical advice in there. Pat Pattison is great too. He's amazing. He comes every year to the Road Rally. Sample recommendations for new members and edit points. Sample recommendations, that's a tough one because some people can take a $300 sample library and make it sound like a $5,000 library because they really know what to do with it. I could take some stuff from Fett's book. Actually, Danny Elfman was on my list of people to get for the road rally last year. It's always tough to pick like a road rally honoree because I want somebody that's going to have a wide, appeal. Steve Seskin has never been on Taxi TV. We've had him at probably 6 road rallies. How climate change affected the publishing business. Don Henley. Yeah, I would love that. I can call Seskin and ask him when he's coming to LA and get him on the show. He doesn't live here. He lives up in the Bay Area. Kind of splits his time between Nashville. Neil Young, he owes me. Did I tell you guys I saw Neil Young on the freeway about 2 weeks ago driving a Prius? And it said Solar Prius in big letters on the side, and I pulled up next to it, and it was Neil Young driving the car, and I'm waving like an idiot trying to get his attention. I've tried to get Ringo for the road rally twice, came very close once. The dates for this year's road rally are November 5th through the 8th. Adriana knows. She knows everything. She's on top of it. Stephen Hawking's discussing vocal tracks. Course on flying RC airplanes, how it changes your life. Great. Listening to Pono. I actually thought about calling Neil Young and having him come and talk about Pono. But it hasn't been reviewed very favorably, so I don't know that he's going to want to do that. My son's high school just won the Starkey contest, having a free concert Wednesday at his school. That's interesting. The road rally is taking place here in Los Angeles at a hotel on Century Boulevard near the airport. Joe Walsh is practical. The year, 2 years ago, when Diane Warren almost totally canceled on us, she ended up showing up and just going, thank you. Joe Walsh actually, he and I have a good friend in common. The good friend called Joe up, and Joe said, if I were in town, I would do it. It's like, you're killing me here. Mojo, what did Tape Op say of Pono? Did they like it? More member song critiques. Um, difference between pitching to artists and pitching to shows. That's a good one. I like that. Analyze a current hit song of the screener. The problem is, anytime I put current hits on the show and actually play the music, it gets picked up by YouTube and they kill the audio. Yes, same old hotel as always. We love that place. I tried to get Stephen Slate to come to the Road Rally. I would love to have him on a panel. And I could not get him to return my call, even though we have a friend in common that said, Stephen, call Lasco. I've reached out to the people at Toontrack trying to get, I love Easy Drummer. I think that they would be such a great fit for the Road Rally. Couldn't get them to return my phone call either. Have Susan Koch again. Let her talk about anything. She's gold. She is. I love Susan. Um, Daryl Hannah. Yeah, if I asked Daryl Hannah to be on the show, we'd certainly get Neil Young. Um, get the PROs. I can get them easily. Frankly, kind of boring. I mean, yes, they're necessary and you should know what they do. But times that I've done panels, like PRO panels at the Road Rally, not that exciting. Although I've got to say, I've got two very dear friends, one being Ralph Murphy. Ralph Murphy will be on the show coming up in about a month. And he was vice president of ASCAP for many, 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 many years and still consults for them. And Barbara Kane, who is the head of BMI in the LA office, I've known her since I think the day I started Taxi. She's amazingly brilliant and one of the, just, I mean, she's so incredibly smart. Uh, okay. Anyway, all right. Time is up. Wow, that took 10 minutes. Thank you very much for watching the show today. Thank you to all the people whose music we played. Big congratulations to the 74 people or songs that were forwarded out of 145 submissions. That's almost unheard of. That was a huge percentage, and you can tell by the stuff we played that was forwarded that it deserved to be. So there you go. Thank you very much. We will see you next week with another exciting episode of Taxi TV Live. Whoops. Bye, you guys.